Hi, I'm Adam Katz for DogTrainerToolbox.com as well as the Dog Trainer Marketing Group on Facebook. Coming to you today with my good friend Molly Rouse. I can't remember your additional names.
It's a really hard one. I had to, of course, marry somebody with a really difficult
But the
Italian
hardest
last
name in the
name.
world, yeah.
Right. It's DeCiccio. The middle O is silent.
This is okay.
Yeah,
Already forgotten.
I know. It's
But
okay.
what hasn't been forgotten is that Molly's from Make It as a Dog Trainer, and she has a ton of experience working with, I would assume, hundreds of dog trainers at this point,
Oh,
because I
probably
know she's
thousands of dog trainers.
thousands
Yeah.
of dog trainers. Okay,
Yeah. It's been a
because
long time.
you've been in the space for what, at least 10 years, right?
Yeah, it's been this month actually is our 13-year anniversary since the first time we ran a workshop.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And guys, for those of you watching at home or watching on your phone, I think that, in the last year or so, um, s- I don't know who, but one of these marketing gurus came out with with like some kind of a course on how to start your dog trainer marketing agency over the weekend. And I'm pretty sure that the example they used was the dog training industry, because we've just
Mm.
in the past year we've seen a flood of consultants and coaches and Facebook ad gurus and Google ads gurus and all kinds of gurus come into space. And it's really important that I think that you work with somebody who actually had a real dog training business themselves
Mhm.
and has a level of intimacy with the dog training industry in general, rather than somebody who's just kind of fresh and new and decided they wanted to be a marketing guru or an agency owner. So before we get into it, let me say check out dogtrainertoolbox.com. I run Facebook ads for dog training businesses, and if you need a consistent stream of desperate dog owners calling you each and every day, each and every week, and each and every month, check out our Facebook ads offer. It works really, really well. Also, if you need somebody to run Google ads is still great. You get high intent um, dog owners who are looking for your services. If you go to dogtrainertoolbox.com, click on the box that says Google Ads, and there's a link to the only guy that I recommend to run your Google Ads. But check out Facebook ads first, because that's what I'm doing, and I'm a lot cooler than that guy is. So, anyways, with that being said, let's talk to Molly, because she's got some stuff that she's working on that can really help you guys grow your dog training business and help more dogs and help more dog owners. So, Molly, what is on your radar this morning?
Well, I'll actually touch on what you just said a minute ago about all the influx of all the people who have come in and decided that dog trainers are their target market of people that they're trying to sell marketing help to. And it's funny because I'm very highly involved in the world of online business owners as well. And I see this a lot where people just decide, oh, dog trainers must be like, desperate to spend money on marketing. I'm going to open up an agency or teach something about marketing or have some kind of course or some kind of white labeled software. And I'm going to target all the dog trainers. Like they think of dog trainers as some kind of gold mine. And unfortunately, most of them don't have any dog training background. They're just
Mhm.
deciding that dog trainers are a good group of people to target. And not only do they not have a dog training background, that means they don't understand dog trainers and they don't understand dog owners. So it's really
Right.
hard to teach any kind of marketing skills that are not just kind of pretty basic, unless you
You know,
understand not only
not only
how,
that, but like, why of all things would you target the dog training industry, right? If you wanted
right.
to be a
Yeah.
successful, like, why wouldn't you go after like real estate investors or
Right.
stock
Yeah.
traders or people like with real money? I think that, dog training business owners as a whole probably towards the lower end of the list. But I mean, obviously we do it because we're passionate about the
Right.
industry itself and helping dogs. But
Yeah.
anyways, I apologize
Yeah,
for
I
interrupting.
agree. Yeah, it's not like, yeah, so it's from a perception standpoint, it's kind of funny. And I'm not sure if it's because, we have been sharing success stories for years about trainers that we've helped that make,
Right.
several $100,000 a year. So maybe some of them think that dog trainers are generally much more, just have a lot more money floating around than they actually do, especially when they're new and struggling. A lot of times dog trainers don't have a lot of money to spend on advertising and marketing help. So that's one of the things that I think is always funny about it is that being able to help dog trainers with marketing it really requires being able to understand not just how dog trainers are and how we run our businesses, but how dog owners are. And it's so funny when I tell people what I do who are not in the dog training industry and I tell them who I help and that I help dog trainers with their businesses, they get so confused so quickly and they're like, "Wait, so do you train dogs now?" And they're like,
Right.
it's something with dogs, right? Like they
I get
don't
that.
understand the difference between dog trainers and dog owners. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine that marketing agencies are even more confused about that. But a lot of dog trainers sadly waste a lot of money on services and tools and coaching and stuff that doesn't do any good because of
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
So that's
So
one of the
what?
things that I agree with you on for sure.
Yeah. What do you see? What are you seeing right now in as we go into the end of 2024 as some of the bigger challenges that dog training business owners are seeing right now? And are those kind of the same as they've always seen, or is are there new challenges specifically with, you know, going into 2025?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do think things are definitely quite a bit different than they were a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and maybe even from a few months ago. So I'll tell you kind of what I'm noticing because we've known each other for years. We've been friends for what, like more than 10 years, and
Mhm.
we talk about like the state of the industry and what's going on. And during COVID, we talked about our predictions for what was going to happen in a couple of years because there was this kind of big boom, like a whole bunch of new dog trainers came on the
Yeah.
scene 2020, 2021, 2022. And it seemed to be a lot easier to get by with very limited sales and marketing skills for a
Yeah.
while. And we were like, that bottom's going to fall out eventually. And there's
Mhm.
going to be kind of a correction. And all the people who are not doing things the best way will struggle and either up level their skills or they'll quit. So there's still
Right.
this kind of flux a little bit, I think, of where that's happening, where the people who started in like 2022, 2023, even where it was a little easier, it's starting to, just get a little bit more, not harder, but more normal, in my opinion, where it's harder to get attention. You have to spend more time with people. You have to be better at listening. You have to have better people skills. You have to be a good writer. You have to be good with people and not just good with dogs. And those skills just get more and more important as things get more normal or more difficult, or there's any distractions, or there's an economy difference, or inflation is high, or anything like that goes on. It just becomes more important to just be good at the things that you might have gotten away for a long time with not being good at. And
Right.
so that's what I'm seeing now is that it kind of is just shining a light. Even my good friends who are past clients and past students who are the most successful dog trainers I know, they're looking at their business and they're like, "Ooh, there's a couple of things that are not going as well as they used to. I need to go back and reanalyze my skills in that particular area with my programs are set up or how I talk to people or any of those things because if things start slipping over time as they naturally do, when things get tough, it just shines a light on that thing. And I think that's what's really, really important for dog trainers to have the skill, it being able to identify what exactly needs to be adjusted. And that's one of the
Well,
skills that a lot
well
of newer
said.
dog trainers don't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I see, and I don't know, this probably isn't specific to us being in the end of 2024, but I've been noticing it more that there seem to be a lot of people that open up a dog training business and they're not really interested in running a business. They just really they're just interested in working with dogs and
They
training
love
dogs,
dogs.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to have that, but I think to really be successful in this industry, you need to be a student of business because it's the dog training business. And if you just want to train dogs, you'd probably be better served going to work for somebody else who is really good at the business stuff because
Mhm.
you really have to be committed to learning about marketing and advertising and management and setting up systems and processes and procedures in order to make your operation function smoothly and
Yeah.
efficiently. Because if you're just really interested in just training the dogs, who needs that headache? I mean, go work for somebody else who will handle that end of it, and then you just
Yeah.
get your cut and the ability to train dogs. And
Yeah.
so I really have a hard time. A lot of dog owners, they don't even want to answer the phone. Like we can send them all the leads in the world, but they don't want to call the leads back. They want to send them a text instead of calling. And it's like, no, you need to talk to people on the phone, and that's an essential skill that you need to develop. And you probably have some programs on that. I certainly do at doctrinairtoolbox.com that'll help
Yeah.
you learn, with scripts and learn what to say and when to say it. But you really need to be committed to um, consistently improving yourself as an operator, as a business
Mhm.
operator, as well as a dog trainer.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes sometimes people in our space, as being on the marketing side, we get some criticism about, oh, why is it always a focus on just money and just business and just that kind of stuff? But the truth is that, if you look at all of the dog related groups on Facebook, 99% of them are about training dogs, and
Mhm.
99% of the books that you buy about this industry are not about marketing or advertising or any of that stuff. It's just about training dogs. So,
Yeah.
that information's out there. What I think there isn't is there's a dearth of good quality marketing and advertising and business information. And you as a dog training business owner, you need to be committed to improving yourself because you need to become a better dog trainer, but you also need to become a better business owner if you want to help the maximum number of dog owners and dogs. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
seen that on your end, but
Oh, yeah, exactly.
people just
And
wanting to be
it's
dog trainers and not wanting to be business
right.
owners.
Yeah, and I think it's normal sometimes to start a business out of some sort of passion that's unrelated to running a business, and then
Right.
the passion to running the business becomes later, especially if you can find a way to make it enjoyable, that you can find the skills of learning how to handle people and start looking at selling as something that's fun and be able to understand how dog owners think and look at it as something that's fun to figure out how to write your website in a way that's going to attract exactly the people you want. And if you can enjoy the learning those skills, it can be just as much fun as training the dogs. But initially joining the business, getting into the business because it's a passion or even a hobby and hoping to get paid for it, it can be a little bit disjointed to then get into the entrepreneurial headspace of learning all those other skills.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
there's a class actually that I just taught and it was called the $100,000 blueprint for dog trainers. So it was how to make $100,000 in a year or add an extra $100,000 in a year. And in that class, I said that there was 7 steps. The first step is learning how to train dogs. And that's usually where everybody stops, or a lot of people stop there.
Yeah.
All the other steps have to do with the other business skills, being able to write your programs well and being able to create really great programs, price them wisely, write your website really well, advertise wisely, and get the right people to find you, run your business well and have systems. And scale when you're ready, when your schedule and your income is good, instead of trying to, hire extra people too early and things like that, which are other mistakes that get made a lot along the way as well. So without going down that rabbit hole, those other things are all part of running a business and part of marketing. How you put together your programs, because that's what you're selling, how you price them, how you write your website. And then, like you said, the sales skills, the people skills, how to understand what people want, how to listen to them, what questions to ask, what to say. All the selling skills are all really, really fun and fascinating if you view it like it's just a normal part of running a business and helping people. And like you said, the more money you make and the better you get at all that stuff, the more impact you make and the more lives you change. So it's directly related to the passion if you view it that way. If you view it as part of the enjoyment of the passion of running a dog business, is helping people. And I
Yeah.
think that's the disconnect at first.
And it's for those of you watching at home or on your phone. It's typically the type of thing where there's a large investment of acquiring knowledge in the beginning to set up your processes and procedures and sales funnels and all of that in the beginning, but it doesn't require that much effort to continue to kind of fine tune it. So it's not like
Yeah.
you need to be, have your head in this business stuff. I mean, you have to have your head in the business stuff all the time, but it's a front-loaded activity where once you get the majority of it done, keeping it going is much less maintenance. It's very similar to the process of learning how to train a dog versus now that you know how to train a dog, it's much easier and it's not as stressful and it doesn't require as much attention as it did when you were initially learning how to train a dog the very first time. So
Yeah.
what do you think? One of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is the importance of having a mission. And I don't mean a mission statement because those are typically lame. Like
Yeah.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah. I can hear
Right.
you.
But really being clear on your overall goal and mission, because once you have that, and a lot of people don't, they just kind of start doing something and going along with it. But once you have your mission statement, then you can kind of work backwards and figure out what steps should I be taking to reach that goal and achieve that mission. So, for example, my life goal in regard to this business is I want to help as many dogs and as many dog owners as I possibly can. And so I started after that goal 30 years ago when I was starting up my three different dog training businesses, my three different brick and mortar dog training businesses. And then later I started a dog training subscription membership website that sent out a free weekly dog training tips newsletter to like 70,000 dog owners every week, and had a bunch of other, videos and different stuff. And we reached a lot of people doing that. But eventually I realized that, maybe a better way to achieve that goal is by starting up initially a Google Ads agency, which I later sold to my lead tech, and then a Facebook ads agency to help dog trainers who have brick and mortar dog training businesses on the
Mhm.
ground, help them reach more people. And so all of that, all of the above fit under the mission statement of helping more dog. How can I help the maximum amount of dogs and dog owners beyond just me one-on-one training with a dog owner? And so
Mhm.
I've just kind of recently realized the importance of having that mission, if you will, that mission
Yeah.
and overarching goal. And I was wondering what your perspective is on that in regard to how that influences your own business, and also how it typically influences the dog training business owners that you work with.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because the mission statement, the how useless that is usually because it's more kind of like how you feel like you are going to express your passion about dogs and dog training in a flowery way that doesn't really mean anything to anybody. So when
Right.
people try to a mission statement and they put it on their website and they're talking about their philosophy and their passions and their goals and all that stuff, it doesn't really do them any good. But being able to be clear on what you want from your business, who you want to serve, who you do your best work for, what you want out of your life and your business, what you want all of it to look like so that your business serves your life as well and not just, overtakes everything and makes you burn out and start hating dogs and hating people even more than you might have in the first place. But being able to come, right? Being able to come up with a goal of what you want to accomplish is important and sometimes a lot easier said than done because a lot of times dog trainers will just get stuck at a certain point where they just know that they want to be able to work with dogs and they know that they need to make a certain amount of money to be able to do that. And that's as far as they get. They don't really know what the potential is. They don't know how much they could make or even what that goal should be if it's an income goal. And besides income goals are sometimes the easiest part, even though that's not always easy. Everything beyond that of like, what do you want your life and your schedule to look like? How much time off are you going to have in there? What are your boundaries going to be with clients so that work as an entrepreneur doesn't overtake your entire life? All of that stuff has to kind of be thought through and is all just equally important as part of running a business and not just have the goal and have the mission of what you want to accomplish, what you want to achieve, who you want to help, how that looks, but also just kind of bigger picture with your life. It has to also not only be kind of decided, but adjusted along the way as the business grows and changes, over time. So it's definitely a skill, I think, in itself to just even figure out where you are and where you want to be and kind of course
Mm.
correct along the way. Even just coming up with that path and what it looks like and what the outcome looks like is really, really important and a great thing to think about for sure.
Molly, if you could wave a magic wand and change one specific thing about most of the struggling dog trainers that you come in contact with, what would that one thing be?
Oh, that is a great question.
I'm just full
So
of them.
what's that?
I'm just full of great questions.
Yeah, you're full of great
We can
questions.
do this all
You're good.
day.
Yeah, I could answer great questions all day. So this is a
You're
good matchup.
fantastic, by the way. You're fantastic. Whoop.
Thank you. Yeah, it's and it's funny because when I do podcasts and interviews, they're like, "Do you want prepared questions?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I like to just answer things off the top of my head. I like to be extemporaneous. If I have questions in advance, I overthink everything, and then I'm like writing down my answers, and I'm over prepared. So I'd
No,
rather have it like this, where you just surprise me with good questions.
honestly,
Um,
I think you've gotten a lot better.
oh,
I
thanks,
think as a communicator, I think you've gotten a lot better. You communicate beautifully now,
thank you.
and I think you've just gotten better over the years. So
Well, it's been a long time, and I'm yeah, backhanded compliment. Thank you, Adam. Like I used to not be very good at communicating or something.
no, you were good then.
I'm just great now.
Now you're great. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. But yeah, getting to your question, waving a magic wand. So I'll kind of think out loud and then I'll come to like my final thing that actually came up first in my mind.
Mhm.
So there are a few things that dog trainers would need to have as abilities and habits and skills and even mindsets and thoughts in order to be successful. And if you're missing any one of these, it's just a major disadvantage that causes a whole bunch of problems. And a lot of times, dog trainers will see stories of really successful other dog trainers, and they'll take that as inspiration of what they could accomplish. But at the same time, they kind of think to themselves, well, that's them. They probably have some kind of knowledge or confidence or advantage or whatever skill that I don't have. And the fact is that that is actually true. That the dog trainers who are successful do have a confidence and a skill and an advantage and knowledge that they don't have yet. And that is the thing that the dog trainer who's not confident and skilled and successful yet has in their control. They can become that same kind of success story by getting that knowledge and that skills, those skills, and then the confidence will come from that. It's just something they don't have yet. So they can go get it. It's really just about learning and taking in knowledge.
Are we talking about training the training dogs part of the equation or the
Mostly the business side, because
business
usually
side?
they
Okay.
think it's like I'm not successful because I need more dog training skills, but that's just imposter syndrome usually. That
Right.
they're just like,
Right.
if I was better with dogs, more people would come to me, and it doesn't really work that way. You learn how to train dogs, then you learn how to run the business, and that's how people come to you.
Right.
That's how people find you, and that's how people choose to sign up or not. So the dog training skills definitely always improve those where you can when you need to, but the business skills can't be ignored. The things like how to put together your programs, like I said, and price them and write your website really well and advertise well and sell and know how to talk to people. All of those skills and abilities result in the ability to be successful. Out of all of those, I think the number one magic wand thing, if I could make all dog trainers better at one thing, it would be learning how to listen to people. And that is the number one thing, because along with that is if you learn how to listen to people better and you understand people better, it's a lot easier to learn skills and the psychology around like
Mhm.
program creation and selling and all of those other things kind of just become so much easier if you're better at listening to people. And along with that, it also makes it a lot easier to just be good at getting knowledge on these business skills. So the desire to learn and be passionate about the minds of people is just as much, if not more important than the passion about being fascinated with dogs' minds. So they have to
Definitely.
kind of
Definitely.
approach the human psychology side of it just with the same passion that they approach the dog training psychology side of it.
Right. Right. One of the things I found is that, yeah, to your point about being a good listener, is that listening is how you uncover what their emotional hot buttons are. And the
Yep.
whole point of getting them to pay you for your dog training program is being able to push those emotional hot buttons. And so, what would you say to the dog trainer that says, well, they're coming to me. I'm the one with the knowledge. I'm the one that can tell them what they need, what they don't need, and they should, kind of shut up and listen to what I have to say, versus me listening to them. How
Yep.
does that jive in, you know, in maybe the naive dog trainer's head?
Yeah, well, I would say that a dog trainer who's too much stuck in that mindset, probably it's showing up in their income. They probably can tell that, or their business is not going the way they want it to go, and that might be one of the hangups, one of the reasons why it's showing up in their on their bottom line. But yeah, when somebody hires you and you are their trainer, you're responsible for telling them what they need to know and holding their feet to the fire and helping them be accountable for following through on the program and then listening to you. So getting clients who listen to you is a really, really valuable thing to be able to, have as a goal to be able to get clients that listen to you. That's definitely a must. And one of the things that I talk about is that if you do a lot of the other things well that we've been talking about, you tend to get clients who do listen to you. But the skill of listening to them is more of a marketing and sales skill. So it comes before they're a client. So all the
Right.
things in order to get to the point where you can now boss them around is all the marketing side of it and the
That's
sales
an
side of
excellent
it.
point.
And if you don't know what they're
Yeah.
thinking or how they think or what they want or what they value or what they're really bothered by or how their dog's behavior is affecting their everyday life, and let them vent about those things when you talk to them, then you
Mhm.
do not know how to get them to the point of paying you so they can now listen to you. So
I
it's
like
like
that
two totally
concept of
separate points.
I like that concept of pacing and leading, and
Yeah.
in order to pace and then lead, it was an old sales concept. It starts with listening to them. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're right. You've got hit the nail on the head in that regard. What you know what one of the things that kind of bothers me, I don't know why it bothers me, but you get these dog trainers who they say, well, I've been in the business for 18 years or 20 years, and I've never done any advertising, I've never done any marketing, and all you have to do is just be really good, and they'll come.
Hmm.
And look at me, I'm a success. Now I'm going to give you my thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts first.
Oh man. So I think a lot of times when people say that, well, there's a couple different types of dog trainers I think that will say that. One might be kind of like the old school, like they've been around for ages and they're the dinosaurs of the industry, and they were around when maybe things were easier, just kind of old school way of just word of mouth kind of picked up and took on a life of its own, and in ways that it tends not to now. Or their version of success and doing all right is not really the same. It's like very subjective. What does that
Yes,
really mean? How
yes.
successful are they really? How much are they really making? How happy are they? Are they profitable? Are they making money and spending it all on something else? There's so many different variables about what success even looks like that you kind of have to take advice from people who are like, I'm doing all right and I didn't have to advertise. That you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt anyway, because what does all right even mean? What does
Right.
success even mean? So there's that. And then the other thing is that when someone says, oh, I've made it just fine without having to advertise, it's the kind of advice that doesn't really do anybody any good. It kind of just perpetuates the idea that if you're failing, if you're not making enough money as a dog trainer, it means that you suck at dog training. And that's not usually the case. Most
Hmm.
dog trainers who are struggling, it has nothing to do with their dog training skills. It's not because
100%.
word hasn't spread because they're amazing. It's because it just doesn't work that way. You have to be found by people. You don't have to just be out there and be like good, and then everybody comes. It doesn't work that way. You have to have skills of being able to be found by people who are searching for you as a service. And if you don't know how to do that, you just will not make enough money. And that's just the bottom line. Just relying on word of mouth alone, 99% of the time doesn't work. So those outliers, even if they are successful, they're outliers. They're not the rule. They're the exception. So if they're like, oh, I don't do any advertising and I make $1 million a year, if it's even true, it's not normal. So you
Yeah.
can't rely on it. You can't just listen to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a couple of things that come to mind is, like 30 years ago, maybe there was only three or four dog trainers in your entire city,
Yeah.
in the entire area that you live in, and now there may be 50, so it's a totally different environment, and there's so many factors. One of the things that I'm reminded of, I knew a dog trainer that I met at a working dog club in Southern California. I won't reveal his name, even though he's since passed away. But we were similar age, and he was 100 times the dog trainer that I ever was, and he had the passion for dogs and the love for the training, and the guy was absolutely struggling. Like he was charging like I don't know like 16 to $18 per lesson.
Oh
He was
man.
selling individual lessons, and he was absolutely struggling. He had a wife and kids and a house payment and a whole setup. And I thought it was so interesting. It was like I mean, I felt like I was a pretty good dog trainer myself, but I was having, and having a lot of success. And
Yeah.
here this guy was who was a way better dog trainer than I was, and he was struggling. And so I think it's a good example that just shows you that you have to have both pieces of the equation. You need the
Yeah.
the business sense, the business skill, the business savvy, and the dog training skill as well. You can't have, one or if one of those factors is lacking, you're not going to have long-term success in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah. 100% true. Yeah, it's both equally important. And when I was teaching the $100,000 blueprint, I talked about how there's, one of the steps is learning how to train dogs. And then later down, it's learning how to be found by people who are looking for a dog trainer. So the advertising side of it. And those two are just two of 7 steps. And if the other ones are missed, those two are the ones that almost everybody just focuses on. Let me just, learn how to train dogs and let me get my name out there. And they don't even know how to get their name out there. So then that's where you come along. And that's amazing that you like your love language is the advertising side. And you
Right.
and we're similar in that we both love words and we love, copywriting and the
Mhm.
things having to do with influencing behavior with your words and things like that. But those are all part of the other things. It's, all of those other pieces of running your business and marketing and systems and selling and all of those other things are all part of the whole pathway and the steps of making it. Otherwise, again, you just get stuck over and over with just learning to be a better dog trainer, trying to get your name out there and never getting any traction because you're undercharging, you're getting terrible clients, you're getting people who don't do the work and they're not committed. You have to get like 50 clients a month to break even or something because you're just not making enough per person. All these other things happen if you just don't get all the other things in
Right.
place.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me your thoughts on not being a commodity, because even if I send you all the eyeballs in your entire city, but you don't have a unique selling proposition. You don't have a unique offer. There's no compelling, benefits that you're offering to them. Um, and you're just kind of like insert dog trainer face here.
Yeah.
How does that affect the individual dog training business owner? So the importance of not being a commodity when you're selling, to some extent, something of a commodity, of a commodity.
Yeah, it's and it's funny because I think probably most dog trainers or most business owners in general, because I work with business owners outside of the dog training industry occasionally, especially with the online marketing groups that I'm in, and I'll have kind of peers in the industry that will work together as well. So it's funny how language works when it comes to understanding things that they're doing and their behavior in their business. And it's like, so if you say if I were to say to somebody, you're making your business into a commodity, they would probably just blue screen. They would be like, I don't even know what that means. Like, what do you mean? Like, and then so you'd have to break down like the difference between a commodity and something else. And being a commodity is basically just, in my mind, is essentially the outcome of that is just looking like everybody else and making everything apples to apples. And if you charge X number of dollars per lesson, they can now go and each dog owner can now go and become and be trained into being a price shopper and going to another dog trainer and finding out how much that dog trainer makes per hour and picking the one that's cheaper. So when you're not a commodity, it means that they cannot come to you and directly compare you to somebody else, apples to apples. It doesn't work that way. If you are good at being unique and standing out and showing your value beyond how much you charge per lesson and per hour, so that they can't directly contrast you with somebody else who's just cheaper. So a commodity is like gas. Like if there's two gas stations and one of them is 5 cents cheaper, you don't care which one you go to. You're going to go to the cheaper one. If you are struggling as a dog trainer, sometimes it's because you're competing on being cheaper per piece, per hour, per lesson, per week. And instead of just being better as a dog trainer and better at marketing and better at your people skills and better at your program, your offer creation skills,
And being better
standing out.
does not simply mean saying we're
I
number
am
one,
better.
or
Yeah.
we're the elite, or we're the best, or any of
Right.
that, right? So
Right.
give me
Yeah.
if you can, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but give me one specific example of how a dog trainer might present himself as not a commodity.
Well, well, there's a bunch of different ways, but number one, if you are presenting yourself as a well, anytime a dog trainer is very obviously charging for their what I call charging for your time. So you sell, you charge by the hour, you charge by the lesson, you sell packages of lessons, anything like that, and you have your prices on your website. Now, when anybody goes to your website, they see all that information, they assume that they have everything they need to know about you. And it perpetuates the idea in their mind that they now have something to contrast you with that's black and white. It's a price per hour, price per piece, price per package, and they can now go compare you to somebody else
Right.
and
Right.
and see that. So that behavior by itself makes you not the best. And it won't matter how much you brag and call yourself the best online, because that's not what people value in terms of being able to figure out that you're the best option for them.
Right.
So being able to have, programs that show the value of the outcome of what they
Mhm.
get from working with you, and that outcome being better, faster, more reliable, or more certain than another dog trainer. That's how you become not a commodity, because then it's not about like this one's cheaper. It's about you and your outcome is more understandable, more valuable, and more certain. So the skill of being able to make your services sound great, sound better than what they would get somewhere else in terms of the outcome, sound more certain in terms of the outcome, and that the outcome is maybe even easier and faster than it would be somewhere else. Now it's
Right.
worth a lot more money. It's not about
Right.
how much you charge per minute. And that's
Yeah.
that's that's one of the differences. And that's a marketing skill.
Yeah, I think really a big part of that is focusing to get to drill down even further is focusing on the benefits. So for
Yeah.
example, you see a lot of dog trainers say, okay, your dog's going to learn 5 commands: sit down, come, stay, heel,
Yeah.
right? But what I like to see is something, that says, okay, the down stay. You're gonna learn how to teach your dog to lay down and stay down for up to 2 to 3 hours, even around other dogs, cats, tennis balls, a piece of
Mm-hmm.
food, whatever it may be. And the sit stay, you're going to tell your dog to sit, like if you're waiting for the light to change, and he's going to sit there. And the dog will sit there for up to 20 to 30 minutes if you do it right, if you work on that skill.
Mm-hmm.
Come every time you call, even if you're at a park, in the backyard, in the front yard, it doesn't matter where you go, you'll be able to call them just once, right? And
Yeah.
so what I'm doing there is I'm differentiating and being very specific, so that when they go and they look at the other dog trainers in your city at their website, and their website just says sit down, come heel, stay. These are the
Yeah.
things you learn. It's apples to oranges, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
so
painting that picture of like what that outcome looks like and why it's beneficial instead
Mhm.
of just the feature itself. Another way that I tell people that they can do it if they're not sure what to say about the benefit of something is to say your dog will learn this so that you get this benefit, which means this outcome. So adding
Right,
on like the so that and which means helps with that as well. So like your dog will learn how to come to you every time you call so that you don't have to worry about chasing them around the neighborhood when you're late for work, which means there's so much less stress in your life because your dog listens to you. Like
right.
that paints the picture of how it affects their life, not just
100%.
come.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And again, that gets you away from being just the commodity.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see, even like I can't really come up with an example off the top of my head, but the super premium lubricating gasoline that they sell down at Mobile One or whatever it is. They're trying to take even the gasoline sellers are trying to take a commodity or oil, right?
Hmm.
And differentiate it and make it so that it's not just a commodity. And you
Right.
have to do that as a dog trainer yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to blend into the
Yep.
wallpaper, so to speak. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways,
And there's a lot more
nothing.
wallpaper these days.
There's a lot of wallpaper these days. Yeah. Tell me what you're working on, right now, and what
Yeah.
what
Uh,
opportunities for dog trainers you're offering at this moment.
Yeah, well, that $100,000 blueprint class is going on right now, and even if somebody were to find this video later, we've always got some free classes going on because we love helping. We, as in Jason, my husband, and I, help everybody together. It's mostly usually just me on the classes because Jason is the bigger introvert of the family, but he's on occasionally too. So we do free classes pretty often. We have a lot of free videos on a lot of these skills, and we have a program that teaches all of those main core people and marketing skills. So all the things involved with understanding how people think, being able to also analyze your own business and figure out what skill is lacking. Like, are people finding you and not contacting you? Are they
Mm.
contacting you and not signing up? Are they signing up and they're only spending $100? Like, where is the problem? Where's the hole in your business? And being able to analyze your business, that is a skill in itself. Systems around, time management and things like that as well, but program creation, how to put together your program so they are viewed as very valuable by the people you most want to work with, being able to price them wisely, being able to sell really comfortably and skillfully in a conversation, being able to make advertising decisions wisely so that they know like how to find great people like you who know how to advertise specifically to dog owners and the skills and the psychology around advertising as well. And then, of course, everything that after they're successful scaling the business from there, all the skills involved with that too. So that program is called Peak, Peak,
Yeah.
which is a very aspirational name, but it's actually an acronym for the
Let
P.
me just jump in. By the way, we're going to
Yeah,
have a link to that at dogtrainertoolbox.com. So if you go to dogtrainertoolbox.com within the next day or two, maybe it's already up there by the time you're watching this,
yeah.
you can click that link and then learn more about
Yeah,
Molly's
you'll learn
program.
all about the program there.
Right.
Yeah. And then you'll see the acronym, but the P stands for mostly understanding people and creating your programs and prices. And then the E part is the engagement part, which is the sales skills. A is for attracting the right clients. So that's your website, your ability to write your website really well and your advertising skills and how to, find the best advertising methods and people and things like that. And then the K part is all about keeping it growing. So it's the scaling part. So that's the core
Nice.
skills in that program. It's an online course and group coaching program. So there's a huge community of awesome dog trainers that are super helpful as well, who've already been through the program and been successful. Super fun program. It's if it's open when you go look, go get in while it's open because it's not always open. We open it when we run free classes occasionally throughout the year. So just get in while you can.
Nice, nice. Actually, I just talked to a young dog trainer in the Phoenix, Avondale area who went through your program and used that to set up his website, and it looked fantastic. It looked really,
Awesome.
really good. He had so many of the elements, in place that I like to see before I start running ads to, or before I start running traffic for a
Yeah.
client. Because if we're sending traffic to a website, and the website sucks. It doesn't matter how great the traffic is, but if the
Yep.
website doesn't convert the traffic, what's the
Right.
point, right?
Yep.
And I was
Yeah,
really,
that's one of
really
the holes
impressed.
I was talking about is like dumping money, and effort into the
Yeah,
top and people just fall out the sides. They don't ever
yeah,
become a client. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But before I even knew that he had gone through your program, I was complimenting him on the website genuinely, and he said, "Oh yeah, I went through Molly's program,
That's
and it's taught me
awesome.
how to do a lot of the stuff. So you're definitely on the right track with everything that you're teaching, which
Thank
is why
you.
we're talking today. So
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
didn't believe in you, I wouldn't be featuring you. So
Yeah.
good. So anyways, check out dogtrainertoolbox.com. We're gonna have a link for Molly's Peak program. And then you can click on the link and learn more about getting in on her program as well as the rest of her stuff. Also, if you need someone to run Facebook ads free, check out my offer at dogtrainertoolbox.com. Now, the most difficult part of this interview is figuring out how to turn it off. So we put on my old man glasses here. All right,
Two
thanks,
sets of
guys. Take
glasses.
care.